Hey, I don't know about you, but I can feel so scattered sometimes between the pinball machine of thoughts bouncing around my mind, not to mention all the notifications, my very loud children, and the ongoing demands coming at me all day, every day. The days can feel overwhelming. That's exactly why I created my brand new Start Your Day Planner. This planner helps you start each day clear, confident, and in control. This simple 5-minute morning routine gives you easy prompts that give context, clarity, and focus to your day so you know exactly what to focus on and you finally feel good about how you spend your time. And I'm so excited to let you know that the physical hard copy of the Start Your Day Planner is now available. You can head over to startyourdayplanner.com to get your copy. And if you want to check it out before you buy it, you can even download a free digital sample of the Start Your Day Planner. You can see the inside. Go ahead, get started on the system and try it out for yourself. Head over to startyourdayplanner.com and get ready to start your days in a whole new way. That's startyourdayplanner.com. Hey everyone, and welcome to Get Your Hopes Up. I'm Christy Wright, and I'm so glad you're here. Romans 15:13 says, "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by power of the Holy Spirit." Our God is the God of hope, and he wants you to overflow with hope. So let's start our week by getting our hopes up again. Now, today we are talking about taking action. And you know, I love to teach you tactical steps in how to take action to build your faith and be more obedient and improve every area of your life. But today we're talking about a different type of action. We're talking about taking action in the exact opposite direction from what you would normally do. This is about going against your nature and going against culture, which is hard, but also most of the time it's actually biblical. So let's talk about how to take action in the opposite direction than you think. Now, you know, I love to start with a story. So let me tell you about something weird that happened to me just a few weeks ago. Okay. My husband was working late and he was at a work dinner. And so I was home with all three kids and I was trying to wrangle them and, get them down to bed and so on. And so I go upstairs. We've done our whole dinner routine, our nighttime routine. And we go upstairs and I'm getting ready to put my son Conley to bed. So each of my three children have their own bedrooms. It's kind of whack-a-mole. You get one down and another one pops up. But at this particular moment in the nighttime routine, we're working on Conley. So he's in his bed. I go to close his closet doors. I always close the kids' closet doors. I don't want them to be scared there's something in there in the night or whatever. So I go to close the closet doors and y'all, a bird flies out. A bird. A real bird. First of all, how did you get here, bird? In my house, up the stairs, into my son's room, into his closet. And most of all, how long have you been there? Well, the bird flies out. It scares me to absolute death because naturally I did not expect that coming. He flies out down the stairs, which was great because now we are on our way to an exit, down the stairs, and he starts circling around our downstairs. He's going through the foyer, through the dining room, through the kitchen, through the living room, and back through the foyer again, around our stairwell in the center of our house. And he is freaking out. He is going from curtain rod to windowsill to top of our cabinets. He is going as high as he can, trying to find an exit. So I'm like, oh my gosh, we got to get this bird out of here. So I'm like, what is the largest possible exit of our home? Well, it's the patio doors. So I open the one patio door and then I, unlock the other patio door. I open them up to this big double door opening so that hopefully we can get the bird out the doors outside and set him free. Well, of course, all of the kids are all riled up about this. Like, this is the most exciting part of their night. Now they can't possibly go to bed. We got to get the bird out. We have a mission. So they're helping me. Use that loosely, okay? They're not helping. They're actually causing complete chaos, but it's fine. So I get them somewhat situated on the couch to hopefully be still. I'm trying to gently, lovingly, very enthusiastically try to corral this bird towards the opening. The bird flies around and around and around and does not go anywhere near the doors. He's going from ceiling fan to cabinets to curtain rod, and he's not going towards the open doors, the very large opening in our house. Well, at some point during all this commotion, the kids scare the bird enough that the bird flies through the kitchen, up the bonus room stairs, and into the bonus room. This is a disaster, y'all. The bonus room has very high ceilings. So if I had any hope of even, I don't know, gently capturing the bird with a sheet, which I did plan to do if I could get to him, and taking him outside very carefully, I can't do it in the bonus room. The bonus room has such high ceilings, I'll never get to him. So I keep the kids downstairs. I go up in the bonus room, and the same thing happens. He flies from high point to high point to high point, from curtain rod to the top of the playhouse, to the ceiling fan, to the top of the swing, and around and around and around. And as soon as he's sitting there and I get just a little bit close to him, I'm standing on the couch, I'm trying to stand on a chair to get to him to either shoo him off towards the open window or maybe capture him with my sheet, he flies to the next high point. Of course, I opened all the windows in the bonus room, opened all the screens trying to get him out, but he just wouldn't go. He didn't see that the opening was right there and he was doing what was in his nature. He was flying high. He thinks the safest place for me to go is high, higher, get above this crazy lady, get above these crazy kids, get above it. I've got to fly higher and higher and higher. And that's what he did, from high point to high point to high point. And I saw him getting completely exhausted in the process. And I just thought, and I think I even said, if you would just fly down a little bit, if you would just dip a little lower, you could fly out that open window, any one of these open windows, bird. But if you would just fly a little lower, you could be free. If you would just go against your nature to fly high, if you would go low, you could get out, you could be free. But he didn't. He just kept trying harder and flying higher. And I know this sounds crazy, but as I watched this bird become exhausted, flying from high point to high point to high point and just missing it every time, I felt the Lord teach me a lesson in that moment. This is me. This is me and every other type A go-getter, achiever person that I know. We think that the path to our freedom is just to go higher. And you know what's so interesting is culture reinforces this, doesn't it? Culture teaches us that very thing. If you want to be free, like financially free and, free with your time and free with your schedule, if you want to be free and have all the power and control and autonomy in the world, you got to go higher. You got to go higher. You got to hustle harder. You got to make more money, make more, make more, make more. Hustle harder, grow that business, grow that team, more, buy more, be more, do more, achieve more, higher, higher. What's the next promotion? What's the next opportunity? What's the next big client you can get? Higher. Higher, higher. And we just keep climbing higher and higher and higher. And we're not free. And we're exhausted. And I felt the Lord show me through this moment of this crazy bird situation where the bird could not get out. I just felt him show me, oh, Christy, it's the opposite. You actually go against your nature. You don't speed up, you slow down. You don't fly higher, you actually fly lower to find the path to freedom. It requires you to go against every fiber of your being, of what you feel like you want to do, you should do, you're definitely used to doing. You're used to achieving. You're used to flying higher. You're used to doing more and more and more. But I want to gently remind you that the kingdom is backwards. The kingdom is upside down. The last will be first. And the path to your freedom is not to do more, be more, buy more, achieve more, but it's actually to slow down, to stop, to not hustle, to trust and rest and create margin and allow that margin and that peace to breathe in your life, and you don't cram more in just because you have it. When I saw that bird, I saw myself. He was desperate to get high enough to get out, to get free, but the path to his freedom wasn't up, it was down. It wasn't to go higher, it was to go lower. Everything in him wanted to fly high enough to get out, to be free, and don't we do the same thing? Don't we think if we could just fly high enough, if we could just get successful enough, if we could just get powerful enough, if we could just get enough money, man, we'd be free. We could relax. We could slow down. We could have rest. We could have peace. Our culture certainly teaches it. Our corporate world rewards it. Our social media reinforces it. Hustle harder, get more, do more, buy more, be more, run faster, perform better, grow quicker, be more impressive, show more success, meet the right people, be in the right places, get the right opportunities, higher, higher, higher. So we do. We work our tails off. We hustle and run and work and multitask and perform and put our best foot forward and show how successful we are, because success attracts more success. And God forbid people think that you're slipping or slacking or becoming irrelevant. Stay out there, stay out front, work the algorithms, man, higher and higher and higher. And we flap our wings from high point to high point. And because everyone else is doing the same stinking thing, we never stop to realize that we aren't free at all. Trapped on a treadmill of production and performance that never, ever leads to true freedom. Not the kind of freedom you were created for. Free to rest instead of run. Free to feel peace without performing. Free to slow down and stop and say no. Free to pass on that opportunity instead of always jump at it. Free to frown instead of always smile and be on. Free to be real instead of plastic. Free to be messy instead of perfect. Free to be content right where you are, who you are, with what you have right now, today. That kind of freedom. Hey, do you want to grow in your relationship with God, but you don't know how? Or maybe you find yourself opening your Bible with no idea of where to start. Luckily, that's where Glorify comes in. Glorify is the #1 Christian daily devotional app. With Glorify, you can start your morning by reading the Bible passage of the day, diving into Glorify's daily devotional, and wrapping up with an immersive experience called Daily Walk with God. And if you need to take a few minutes to yourself in the middle of a busy day like I do, you can try one of Glorify's guided meditations or listen to their curated worship playlist for some quiet reflection. Join over 20 million people who have downloaded the Glorify app and deepened their relationship with God. The Glorify app is free and it's easy to get started. Visit glorify-app.com/hope right now to download the Glorify app. That's glorify-app.com/hope. It's free, so go ahead and give it a try today.
Hey friends, I'm David McGee. I'm a little crazy, and aren't we all? I want to tell you about a podcast I just launched. It's called A Little Crazy. I teach you how to manage and channel your mental health issues into strength, recovery, and lasting joy. What are my qualifications to lead this conversation? I was once lost and lost it all before I learned to manage better and walk confidently against the grain, becoming a best-selling author and change maker. I dig deep on this podcast to reveal inspirational stories and valuable tools for management, recovery, and personal insight from the perspective of family. Mental health is a family story, as is recovery and finding joy. From crazy faith to love and everything in between, my entertaining guest and I vulnerably smash the stigma and bring down the walls that hold us back. I hope you'll join me on this podcast. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast app by clicking follow, or watch all the episodes over on YouTube. See you soon.
The Bible says the kingdom is upside down from the world, and I don't think we realize how literal that is. This is an upside down kingdom. It's a kingdom where the last will be first and the first will be last. Matthew 20:16. A kingdom where the humble inherit the earth. God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. A kingdom where you do the opposite from what culture is doing, and the opposite from what you're used to, and the opposite from your nature, your flesh, human nature, to run and rush and control and perform and produce and make more money. The world says run harder. God invites us to walk. The world puts pressure on us to perform all the time. God invites us to be real. The world wants us to rush. God invites us to linger. The world is always assaulting us with noise. God invites us into silence. The world is overloading us with information. God invites us into space. The world entices us with external validation, and God invites us into inner transformation. The world creates anxiety. God gives us peace. Matthew 11:28-30 says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." The path to your freedom and mine is the opposite direction than you may think, friend. It's not always to go higher and higher and achieve more and make more and more money and impress more and more people. That is a bottomless pit that never delivers on the promise and exhausts you in the process. You know it, and I know it because we've tried and we've been there, and it's empty. You never get there. The only thing that life produces is more pressure to be more relevant and perform more and go even higher. It's a bottomless pit of empty promises and absolute exhaustion. Like the little bird trapped in my house, we have to go the opposite direction than we're used to, the opposite direction of our nature. So this little bird flew around and around in my bonus room, and I followed him around. When he was on the curtain rod, I went and climbed up on the couch and tried to shoo him off the curtain rod. And then he would fly over to the playhouse and he would sit up there, and I'd go over there and bang on the playhouse to get him to get off of it. I tried so hard to get him toward the direction of his freedom, which was the window. Well, at one point, he got so tired from flapping so frantically from high point to high point to high point that when he jumped to hit the curtain rod, he missed and landed on the windowsill of an open window. And as he sat there, we both froze. The bird froze, I froze, and I was like, "That's it. You're there. You're there. All you have to do is go out the window." And he turned his head to the right and he looked. And it was almost like by this wonderful surprise, he realized the window was open and he was free. And he flew out of there. Of course, I cheered him on in the bonus room at 8:00 at night. So excited I had finally gotten this bird free. But I thought, oh, isn't there even a lesson in that? Isn't there even a lesson in that? From sheer exhaustion of trying to go from high point to high point, he realized the open window was right there. It had been there all along. The path to his freedom had been there all along. He just had to choose it. In fact, it was through his exhaustion that he finally found it. The way to get free was right there all along. And I want to say the same thing to you today, friend. You're right there. The open window to your freedom is right there, and it's been available to you all along. It may not look like what you think. It doesn't always look like growing your business next year. It may look like actually scaling back. It may not look like signing up for all the activities. It may look like stopping all of them. It may not look like writing the book next year. It may look like a sabbatical. It may not look like the big, impressive achievement you had in mind. It may look like simple things like home cooked meals where everyone talks and lingers instead of rushing to the next thing and the next practice. I don't know what it is for you, but I'll tell you some things that it is for me. I love to lead by example, and everything I teach you is as practical as it is inspirational. And I really live this out through my choices and actions in my real life. So let me tell you a few things that are changing for me. Through prayer and God leading me, here are some things I am stopping, slowing down, or scaling back as I go into 2025. First, I'm ending my business bootcamp show for now. So this Thursday, I will air the final episode of this season, and I don't plan to bring it back for another season in the spring like I originally thought I would. Now, I don't know if it'll ever come back. I'm trusting the Lord as I set this down because He said to. He said, this is done for now. Second, I'm also stopping recording shows for YouTube. Now, I'll continue to post shorts from Instagram because I'm already creating them, but I'm not sharing any more long form videos. I'm setting it aside because the Lord has told me to. I'm scaling back, simplifying and streamlining what I put my effort into in my business. I'm also capping my Goal Getters Club at 300 members. We're right around 270 right now. And so I'm going to open it up in January for adding a few new members one last time. And then I will serve those members throughout the year. And then I'll have a wait list. And if spots open up, I'll invite people in. Is that leaving money on the table by not growing it every single season? Yeah. And it also feels really, really right. I'm also considering making some changes to my son's education for next year. I believe that it's time for it, and I believe God's leading me into it. I've also decided not to rehire our house assistant. Kaylee decided to go back to school, and she no longer works for us, and I felt the Lord tell me not to rehire that position. That has also forced me to scale back, slow down, and be home more, and I love it. It has absolutely been so life-giving. When Kaylee first told me that she wanted to go back to school and she wouldn't be working for us anymore after this certain date, I kind of panicked and I thought, I'm going to sink. I'm going to drown. I can't keep up. How can I do this without her? And it has been one of the greatest gifts of my life that the Lord took her away from me. Because now I am stepping into a season that I didn't even know I wanted. A season of margin and coming home after school instead of rushing to activities. A season of baking muffins after school just because it's fun. A season of space and peace and home and quality time with the people I love the most. It has been absolutely life-giving. The thing I thought would create chaos has actually created peace in my life. These are all very tactical business and life decisions that I've decided to make just in the last 3 months as God has led me to. It is how I am flying lower instead of higher, and I'm feeling more free than I ever have. What about you? What might it look like to slow down instead of speed up? To scale back instead of grow? To simplify instead of cram more in? To go against the culture, go against your nature, and instead step into this easy yoke and light burden that Jesus offers you? What might it look like to do that? And what are some practical decisions you could make in your life that would lead to it? Several weeks ago, I had a vision. And it came out of nowhere, but the vision was so clear. It was so prophetic. And I felt such a calling to share it that I opened up my phone and I shared it on Instagram that minute. But I want to share it with you. I had a vision of a person walking up to a bridge. And this bridge was very, very narrow. It was very narrow. And as they walked up to the bridge, they were carrying all this luggage. They had bags and suitcases. They looked like a pack horse, carrying all these things. And as they came up to the bridge, they had to set the luggage down to get on it. Now, the bridge in this vision very clearly represented the will of God for this person. And if they were going to step onto this bridge, they had to set down the luggage. They had to. But if they were willing to set it down and walk across this bridge, there were gifts for them on the other side. There were presents, actual wrapped presents on the other side of this bridge. But to get there, they had to set down the luggage. They had to set down all of the bags, all of the suitcases to be able to fit on the bridge because it was so narrow, but also so that they could have free hands to receive the gifts on the other side. I believe this vision is very literal, friends. I believe this bridge represents the will of God for you as you are crossing over from 24 to 25. Are you willing to set the baggage down? Are you willing to set down all of that luggage, all of those bags that were absolutely right before, but are no longer right for you? They represent the last season, not the next season. And if you're going to have free hands to take hold of what he has for you in the next season, to open those gifts and receive them, you have to set the baggage down. I believe this is urgent and literal as you cross over from 24 to 25 empty-handed, which of course is a little nerve-wracking. Are you willing to set it down before you know what the gifts are? Are you willing to lay them aside before you know where you're going and what 2025 is going to look like? Are you willing, in the most simple way to ask this question, to trust the Lord? Are you willing to trust the Lord? Will you set down the things he's told you to set down just because he said to? Like in my case, YouTube, business boot camp, capping my coaching group, not rehiring my house assistant. Are you willing to set those things down? Walk across that bridge empty-handed and trust him that he will provide for you on the other side. It's scary, but I promise you it's worth it. This is how you go against the culture and you go against your nature. This is what it looks like when you are actually supposed to do the exact opposite from what you're used to, what culture's doing, and what you may even want to do. But just like the little bird, this may be the very path to your freedom that you've been looking for. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me for Get Your Hopes Up. I love hanging out with you every Monday to help you get to know God, get closer to Him, and get your hopes up again. Be sure to share this episode on Instagram and Facebook so other people can get their hopes up as well. And then follow the Christy Wright podcast channel so you never miss a new show. Then I will see you next Monday for another new episode of Get Your Hopes Up.
Hey, I'm Greer, host of the Unfinished Idea podcast, where listeners and I get to journey together to better understand the neurodiverse world. Together with my husband, we have 2 boys and 2 dogs and raising a child with additional needs. Our day-to-day experience isn't being talked about in everyday life, and I see a gap in those leading people who are neurodivergent. Whether you're a parent, a friend, a teacher, or a neighbor, the neurodivergent world is all around us. So this podcast is for you. I have conversations over a cup of tea or coffee, helping to bring awareness about how neurodivergent people experience the world, as well as families who are raising children with different needs. This podcast will share practical help, tips, and the joys, struggles, and differences in being neurodivergent or raising a child who is. Each week, I will spend 30 minutes talking and interviewing others in the neurodiverse space and giving you the opportunity to learn and grow and feel seen and heard by how we interact with each other and the world. Search for The Unfinished Idea in your favorite podcast app and come learn about the neurodivergent world. I'm looking forward to seeing you there.